Yeah.
Kurt Helin has a great
Nice.
mind for basketball. Kurt, I guess just before we get into a Western Conference Finals preview, would love to get just your impressions of these Lakers and where they come from, where they are, and where they still might go.
I think you realized how important this was for LeBron James. I think he recognized what was the potential was and how badly he wanted it when he came back from that foot injury after multiple doctors told him, you should probably go have surgery, man. You should be done for the year. This needs to be looked at. And he might ultimately still need that surgery. He found the doctor who could, the LeBron James of doctors, because he told him what he wanted to hear, but found a doctor who was willing to get him back on the floor because he realizes he's only got so many opportunities. And this team is legit. And I think, to your guys' point, I think you were getting at it. Like, this is different than all those other championships because this is the first time he's not the best player on the team. He is the leader, but he's getting other guys to step up. And Anthony Davis has been brilliant, but it's the D'Angelo Russell game. It's the Rui Hachimura game. It's the Austin Reeves games. It's lifting everybody up. That's kind of the ultimate expression of his IQ and his basketball will, more than just like 2014 LeBron. It's like, I want to go win a game. I'll just go win a game. He's not quite that guy anymore.
Right. Not only is he not the best player on the team, not the best player in the league for the first time in a long time, but still at this stage. Michael, you have something real quick before we pivot?
Yeah. I was going to say, what have you seen, though, from the Lakers? I mean, beyond that, I mean, I don't think we thought championship before the start of the playoffs. Have they shown you a layer, a tweak, a quirk, where you say, Kurt, woo, I didn't know they had that, and this is going to be a problem for other teams?
Their defense has held up better than I kind of thought it would. I thought you might be able to exploit some of the guys on the wings. They've been they've been the best defense in the NBA, like after the All-Star break. That's hung together, and they've picked their spots. They haven't had a great Anthony Davis. They didn't show up for a couple of games, in other series. They've kind of taken took game 2 and game 5 off against Memphis. Like, they have these moments, but they can summon, and LeBron can summon enough peak moments that it just, like I said, all those guys rising up, that's what a championship team feels, right? It's the Celtics last year with Grant Williams putting up 27 against the Bucks in game 7. You need those moments, and the Lakers are getting those moments.
So I should stay in the moment because I don't want to get too far ahead of myself or ourselves, because there's only Nikola Jokic and I mean, one could argue the best team so far in these playoffs. I mean, there's only 4 left. There's only 4 teams to choose from. But the Denver Nuggets, the number 1 seed Denver Nuggets, in the way. It's one thing to beat a flawed Warriors team. It's one thing to beat a mess of a Memphis team, who will unpack them in a minute too. Do the Lakers, as good as they have looked, do they have anything for the best player maybe in the world right now in Nikola Jokic?
Nobody's stopping Nikola Jokic right now. I think, though, Anthony Davis creates problems for them on the other end, right? Like, neither of these teams match up defensively well with the other team. There's not places you can hide on. There's no Jordan Poole missing every shot. There's no Klay Thompson, who was just awful the last 3 games with his shot, frankly. There's none of that. Denver is loaded. It's their old friend KCP. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope will be out there reminding the Lakers, maybe we shouldn't have let him go. He's a great role player. Bruce Brown's been great. Aaron Gordon's been fantastic. Both of these teams match up. I'm really curious. I think a lot of it, doesn't this feel like a Anthony Davis versus Jokic is genuinely
pretty much
weirdly going to decide it, and they're going to have to go against each other because neither team has a matchup otherwise?
Yeah, no, pretty much. I think it might be as simple as a battle of the bigs. We referenced the Warriors a few times. As usual, Steve Kerr probably put it best when it comes to what, in hindsight, was a flawed defending champion.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think this team probably, ultimately maxed out. I think, we were barely in the playoff picture for most of the year. So to make that push, to get there, to win an epic first-round series, and then, to give the Lakers, a fight in this series and have our chances, that puts us in the top, among the top, 8 teams in the league. That's probably where we should be. This is not a championship team. If we were, we'd be moving on.
So speaking of moving on, all right, it's not the last dance. The core wants to run it back as they should. The pool party's over. Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was a nice ride. Got to get up. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get out of here. But the most fascinating story, if I can stay with the analogy, is the DJ here, the guy spinning the records.
Yes.
Which is Bob Myers. Like, the fact that Bob Myers has to take his time. To me, it's almost like in marriage when it's just like when you start talking about divorce, you've been getting divorced for a while. You just started talking about it. It's like with Bob Myers, I guess what's there to think about? You know what I mean? Like, is it money? Yeah. Kurt, it's like if he's taking some time to think about it at a critical time.
Who you work for?
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, what's really going on here? Because obviously the players and Steve Kerr want him back. He's got an amount of credibility and connection with the players that a lot of executives don't have. So the issue seems to be up top. What is that issue? And is the ship really already sailed and it's just a matter of him announcing that he's moving on? And if so, to what?
Two things. I heard early on the money was a little bit of it, but that kind of got, I don't want to say resolved, but like the Warriors realized they needed him. I think it's a little bit just personal. Does he want to continue to do this? Does he want this grind? And part of it is power. This 2 timelines thing that failed so spectacularly, that wasn't all Bob Myers, right? Like, that was an ownership idea. They liked the idea of just being able to roll this into what they were going to do next. I think he may have been more realistic. So I think there's a little of that. And if he leaves, look, the Clippers would be interested. There's a whole bunch of teams that would be interested. But I've heard, like, if he steps away, it is genuinely like, I'm going to take a year off, back up, and then pick my spot. Wow. Like, I don't know that this is a Monty Williams situation where he's going to be on somebody else's bench next year. I don't know that that's going to happen with Bob Myers. But there will be teams calling, including, like I said, I'd heard the Clippers, who have a kind of crowded front office, but might be open. I don't know, by the way, guys, do the Warriors, you're right, the offseason is shaped. I mean, you're going to have to go to Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and ask them to take less. That's a hard thing to do if you're not Bob Myers. It's a hard thing to do if you're Bob Myers. It's a really hard thing to do if you're the next guy in line.
And it may not be the right thing to do. It's the emotional thing to keep it together. But that's kind of, we'll save that for another day. It may not be the right move to keep it together, Michael. Go ahead.
And you talk about, hard thing to do, Kurt, and emotional thing to do. How about in Phoenix? They thought it was the easy thing to do, just to move on from Monty Williams. And I'm looking at this, Kurt, I'm like, wait a minute. It's been there 4 years. It won a franchise record 64 games just last season. I know Game 7s have been a problem the last 2 years. But they blew up their team at the insistence of their rookie governor. And now they put it on Monty Williams. Just what is your take on this particular firing? Just seems to be wrong.
If you're going to fire a coach from a contending team, you need I think you need reason. You can make the argument that the Bucks had a reason to move on from Budenholzer, that he couldn't take them where they needed to go next. But the other part of this, guys, is in every sport, if you're firing your coach at this level, don't you have to have an idea of who's next and who's better? Don't you have to have that guy kind of locked in before you make this move?
Yes. Ideally, I don't know that they operate that way.
Because they want Ty. I've heard they want Ty Lue, but
think about that.
They want Ty Lue, but Ty Lue is under contract for like 2 more years, I think, with the Clippers. And Ty Lue was incredibly frustrated this season. Like, he might sort of be open to moving on, but his biggest backer in that organization is Steve Ballmer, and Steve Ballmer writes really large checks. So Ty Lue said he'd be back. I'll take him at his word there. So is Nick Nurse the upgrade? Is Nick? I mean, I don't know where else you go.
But who in the hell doesn't like Monty Williams? What human being doesn't like Monty Williams?
Yeah,
all I know is
right,
it's like, you know, Chris Paul. Where does he go? I have an idea for him, but like, here's Kevin Durant once again. There's just a trail of destruction that seems to follow Kevin Durant, whether it's his fault or not. So countdown to when he requests a trade from the Suns. But you mentioned whether they have a plan in place when they make these moves. Let's go to the Eastern Conference now. Michael and I talked about this early on. Because I'm emotional at this point. I'm just like, anybody but Doc. Like, we've seen the Doc movie in the same way too many times. Michael's like, well, who are you going to get that's better? I'm like, I don't know. But I just know it can't be Doc. So what's your view on the Sixers' future? Because all I know is, like, they are the embodiment of doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, and therefore driving us all insane with how they continue to bow out so less than gracefully in these winner-go-home situations.
I think that they move on from Doc in part because they could use a different voice in the room. Those game 7, I mean, the last 5 quarters of basketball for them was painful to watch. Like, the fourth quarter of game 6 with that almost 6-minute dry spell, or a little over 6-minute dry spell, just, it's unacceptable. And that's not all on the coach, but they can only make so many personnel moves. And they've obviously got, I was going to say they have a James Harden decision. They're going to put a lot of money in front of James Harden. James Harden has to decide what James Harden wants.
Why? No, if he wants to opt in, but do not make this, like, come on, like, fool me once. Shame on you.
He wants security.
Fool me twice, can't get fooled again. Okay, I don't care what he wants. I don't give a damn what James Harden wants. It's like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way that. No, absolutely not. They should.
Well, see, that's the thing. I
how
think
much.
That's what
I know who the GM is,
and I've told.
But still,
I've told you guys, and I've been hearing this since the All-Star break. The Houston stuff's real. Like, him going back to Houston stuff that's not just smoke. Like, there's genuine fire there. I don't know if it's going to happen or if that becomes a leverage play on Daryl Morey. But there's got to be shakeups there.
On the first thing smoking. Put all of them on the first thing smoking.
You've got to make changes, though. I think you got to have a new coach, and I think you've got to shift the personnel around Embiid in some way. That Boston's not going anywhere. Milwaukee's not going anywhere. We could run through the teams on the rise. Like, they have to find a way to get better. Yeah. And it's not on Embiid. Embiid is the MVP.
The other team that's not going anywhere, and here they are, even though we don't really understand why they're here. The number 8 seed Miami Heat taking on the Celtics on Wednesday night. Now, if I just look at the personnel, and this is a mistake, I'm not going to make this mistake, but if I look at the personnel, I'd say Celtics in 5. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Yep. I don't know. I picked the Celtics in 5. You know why you're wrong, though? I think the thing that concerns me, and I talked about this morning about the edge, like, it's how serious are the Celtics going to take this? How much are they just going to? Are they going to waste 2 games?
How can you do that against Jimmy Butler and the Heat? It's not like a team. It's not like a team that didn't damn near beat them last year, and then seen 3 out of 4 years. You can't take them lightly. They got to know better than that.
You would like to think that, but this team, they're focused game to game. The other problem they've got, I think, the other real matchup advantage: Eric Spoelstra versus Joe Mazzulla. Eric Spoelstra is going to coach circles around him, around the rookie coach. And I don't want to, like, Joe Mazzulla may grow into something spectacular, but he's learning some hard lessons as a rookie coach. And Eric Spoelstra is going to pull all the right strings.
Fair.
So,
I just don't know if he's got enough arrows. And I did say Celtics in 5, but he's got enough. It just does Spoelstra have enough arrows in the quiver to make it matter. Like, he can, as brilliant as he is, the end of the day, I love Gabe Vincent. Shout out UC Santa Barbara. There's only so much you're going to get out of those guys.
We always get a lot out of you, Kurt Helin. We appreciate you, man. Pro Basketball Talk. Y'all should be reading it all day, every day. I know I do. Thanks for dropping by, man. Go take a dip in the pool.
Yeah, I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna swim some laps, get some exercise here.
One day, maybe like
maybe
at the end of the season, just rip it off and just dive in at the end of the segment. Like your last hit of the season, just be like,
just
1, 2, 3 Cancun, 1, 2, 3 backyard, something. All right, man, be good.
Take care, guys.
All right, Kurt. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.